Alright everybody, welcome back. Just an update of what I've been up to. Been mainly working on the nose stuff and all the air. Got both trays mounted in, air tray, turbine tray. I gotta mount this still. I mounted a switch here for the battery for the swing wing. It's held in there with Velcro, so if I need to get it out of the way to get back in there, I can. And if I can't reach it very well when the canopy's on, I'll just take the Velcro off and mount it to the bottom of the canopy piece over there and go with that. But I should be good there. Spent the majority of the day pulling all these air cylinders out for the canopy locks and the front gear doors. Just checking them for leaks, and I'm glad I did because I had to repair two of them. This one I had to take this back, unscrew this piece because it was leaking around this fitting. Let me swap around the other side here. Took the fitting off, cleaned everything up, took some medium CA, put it around the thread, screwed it back on, let it dry, tested it in water, no leaks. This one had a internal leak between the two sides, so a lot of times people don't realize, but if there's a O-ring, you got an O-ring inside there that moves on that piston. Well, if that O-ring gets nicked or it doesn't fit properly, when you pressurize one side, it'll bleed air over to the other side and it'll come out. So I had to, luckily, the other problem I ran into, because I couldn't just take an air cylinder out of the other nose because they use bigger gear door air cylinders. These are smaller ones. These are the same size, which is kind of funny. Like on my other nose, the canopy lock was the small air cylinder and the gear doors were the larger ones. On this one, they put smaller air cylinders for the gear doors, but a larger cylinder for the lock. I just don't understand that, but that's okay. But I like having the smaller ones, it's less weight. But anyways, so what I did is I took the center, or basically the rod out that had the O-ring on it and put it in the current frame, and that fixed the air leak between the two sides. So those are back in. Redid some of the hardware just to make them. I resized all the ball ends with a sizing tool that I use on my helis. Just makes these, like some of these, when you clip them on there, they're really rough, and that's just friction you don't need. So I go ahead and ream them out, make them perfect fits, so they move nice and smooth. There's no play in there; they just move smooth. So will help your helps the gear doors work a little bit better. I put the nose on last night. 4 screws, because it has little holes here, and the back side you have like a little place to basically slide a piece of ply across to keep it from pulling out of the center. I may leave it like this. I could glue it, and it just depends on how much weight I end up putting up here. If I've got 4 batteries on here, I may go ahead and glue it, but I think I'll be okay with just what I got. One thing I don't like is when you put the nose on, this basically the seam to where it comes on and off it's very ugly. It doesn't fit flush, so it's kind of a big gap and it stands out on that white. So, but can't do anything about that. Probably won't notice it in the air, at least I hope not. Gear is done. Still kind of green on the paint, so I'm not going to do much with it. Put the airlock cylinders back on. Made sure, also used the reamer for this one too. I wish this was metal, because that's a lot of, those little small cylinders, pretty much the only thing keeping your gear from collapsing. Of course, it does over, so to lock it, there's basically perfect straight right there, and then it overextends the elbow to lock. And that's great, you know, that works great. And I did have to adjust, you do have to adjust these rod ends to get it to go over center. But when you do that, it push it further out on the thread. You have less thread in the ball, and this is just a plastic piece. That's a lot of weight and everything. You know, if you take this piece off, it will actually continue to move this way, you know, that way. So this cylinder is keeping that strut, support strut, in place. So that's a lot of force on that. So you know, if I have any problems with these, I'll keep an eye on them. If they crack or anything, I can just replace those with some metal ones. But other than that, they're ready to go in and hook back up, and I'll try to get that done today as well. And then it's just running some more airline for the gear doors and the locks, and hopefully by this evening I can get to the point where I can actually pump some air into the system and actuate the gear, type deal. And what else? Oh, I also went ahead and mounted, let's see, is it down or up? Up, there we go. Pull these guys off. I also put the brackets in there. You can see where I had to grind on each side, because the thick part of the servo, not here, but the thick part, when it's at the extremes, like that thick portion of the servo pushes up towards the edge. Okay, let me set this down so I can show you. And that big portion of the servo, because the arm's up here, and as it moves down, this piece basically hits that back thick portion of it and puts pressure, and it makes it kind of push out. So you have to grind a little bit for clearance, or you can grind the servo arm, but I would just assume, because this is just a skin, there's really no structure here, so I just sanded this a little bit with a grinder. I'll clean it up later. But these are removable. The instructions that they have mentioned using some 30-minute epoxy, you know, lubricating this insert, putting epoxy in there and pushing it in. That way you can remove it, and I guess it'll help strengthen up the wood, because it's just ply in there, and they're not using, it's that soft ply they use, not that good aircraft ply. So I'll probably do that. I don't want to use high sol because the high sol sticks so well. I'd be worried that it might get stuck. So I'm going to use regular 30-minute epoxy with some grease around this fitting. But that's about it for that. And yeah, that's where I sit. Getting there, just taking some time. I did have to fix one of these fittings as well on there. Next thing I got to do is build a support mount in the front there for my battery backer, kind of like I did with the Avani, and it'll sit pretty much just like that. So, but that's about it. You guys take it easy, and I'm gonna get back to more building. Got lucky, got 2 snow days this week, so